everybody. Welcome to the Mark Change Leader Forum. We are so glad that we were able to start this forum with professionals managing change in their organizations on a daily basis. This was a forum with the motto that you are not alone in your journey and always seek help from your fellow travelers. Last year, we initiated the series on change management, and thank you firstly for the overwhelming response on that. And today, we begin 2024 by continuing this series. And I can't be happier to have the guest today to kickstart 2024. We have with us today a person with so much diversity in her portfolio. She has her strength. Her strength is her ability to turn complex into simple. With 26 years in the industry, she has worked across 12 financial centers and provides customers their value in form of consulting, delivery management, sales, solutions, and technology. She specializes in change management, or the people side of the change, as we call it, in large transformation projects as we see technology and environment disrupting it now and then. Please welcome the head of India, MEA, and the APAC regions in organization change management of TCS, Ms. Gauuri Kapoor. Hi, Gauuri.
Hi, Sudeshna. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for joining this and doing this session for us.
My pleasure.
Gauri, your experience is so diverse. You have done projects across so many industries and have the experience of doing so many things. What made you choose change management as a specialization?
I started my career with building web based trading systems. I then moved on to managing those systems, then selling those systems. But I realized the real crux of the benefit comes when people actually start using these systems. So, change management, I thought, is one of the key enablers to ensure business achieves its benefits. So many a times I tell my customers that if you give the same command to five machines, they will respond in the same way. But if you give the same command to five people, they'll respond in different ways. Because humans are blessed with the idea of reasoning. And to channelize this in the direction we want is the key to success. So, change management, I thought, is one of the important aspects of entire delivery management I want to pick up.
So, when you started, do you see the way you realized it, or you are making your customers realize this change management is viewed as a discipline now?
Now, yes. I mean, a couple of years back, it used to be a value add item. But now customers are proactively coming back to us and asking for change management. So it's one of the important criterias in all the asks from the customers.
For you, a person who was into delivery management, moving into change management was, I would say, a natural progression because you were so close to it. So, which other roles you see as can easily make their shift to change management?
So there are a number of roles like HR practitioners, communication specialists, project managers, leadership coaches. Basically, the skills we look for is of the people who can do effective communication, are able to strategize discussions across all levels, are able to do sentiment analysis, are able to enable people through training, are able to steer through complex environments, and specifically understand what exactly is changing at the end user level.
Okay. So I think being in touch with that end user is kind of crucial for this kind of role, and transition becomes easier. And
Absolutely.
so in the landscape we are in now, it is needless to say that change is a constant and has always been a constant. But what are you seeing in the landscape of this region? What are you seeing in change and change management?
So earlier, the changes or the transformations were in two broad categories. One was in the cost optimization, another was in the growth and transformation. But last few years, the change is in basically to be more customer centric or employee experience. That's the emerging areas which has been. Most of our programs are basically ERP transformation, large transformation programs, maybe SAP, Oracle, Fusion, Enable Now, and many others. Some part of them are basically on the application development maintenance or outsourcing, as we say, where most of the customers want to focus on core business and want to lift shift their entire IT space to the IT vendors who specialize in that category.
Mhm.
But very few kind of programs are still on the culture transformation or organizational redesign category.
But in doing these large, transformations, don't you think culture is touched in some form? You just cannot leave that standalone.
So, culture is built in part of these transformation programs because,
Mhm.
as we see in today's world, in all of the countries, there are a lot of aspects, you know. So, you have people coming from different cultures because of all mergers and acquisitions. You have people speaking different languages, using different processes, different level of maturities. So, culture becomes a very, very fundamental and the core need of the hour.
Absolutely. Like hearing from you, I well understand that technology is leading most of the transformations. There is a lot of tech changes which are happening, be it the ERP or the other systems or integrations which is happening, and automation, of course. So technology is kind of making those changes in these industries. So, is there any specific type of change or a specific type of industries you are seeing which are undergoing a change, and hence change management seems to be crucial there?
Yes, with respect to industries, we see a lot coming in from manufacturing and retail, energy and resources, and mining. Specifically for the kind of people they have and the kind of work they do, they need change management as very, very core to enable their people.
Okay, because they have been in the system for a long time. Is that the reason?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
And there is definitely cost optimization pressures. So, streamlining their processes, learning new ways of working, looking at Gen AI and other enablers, extremely important.
Okay. So would you like to elaborate? I mean, without kind of if giving names or anything, any kind of a project or any kind of a change which you would like to say, like you had implemented, and change management played a very crucial role in making that change happen.
Absolutely. So, one of my memorable programs is a 14 country rollout in the Asia Pacific region. We did, and that too at the time of COVID. So, we had to reinvent change because there was no customer connect directly in person. It's everything remote. And
Mhm.
train people in that situation where there were a lot of other pressures playing a role, I think was an extremely successful engagement I've had.
Okay. So, because there, I think you had to like really go out of the way to kind of involve and include and engage people to make the change happen.
Absolutely, because definitely the pressures were somewhere else, and then to get people to do what you want and train them remotely completely, and people speaking 5 to 7 different languages with limited bandwidth and still going on time, on schedule, on budget was the pressure we dealt with.
You would be the person who would be kind of leading the whole change initiative, but the organization leadership, how do you think, what would be the quality of leaders do you think you need during a change?
So leaders play a vital role specifically, gone are the days when used to enable leaders to just disperse the communication. Uh, these days, more deep rooted engagement is required with leaders, specifically for them to understand how do we operationalize these change? How do they become change advocates? How do they walk the talk? and specifically resolve some real issues on ground. So leadership has seen its own transformation over the years, where it's not about just sending a message, it's about being involved, it's about being resolving issues on ground.
Right. And we say, like, leaders become leaders, they're good at what they do, but during change, you feel like, as in your role, how have you, as a change head or as a leader of change, how have you helped leaders do this?
Absolutely. So, leadership coaching plays a vital role. Having absolute clarity on what role is expected from leader at the start of the engagement decides the success. So, it's not only just leaders; it's the middle managers which play a vital role in today's time because they influence downwards as well as upwards. They make break the engagements what we have. So, top leadership we have seen is generally very well engaged, they are very well supportive.
Mhm.
But it's the middle management who really takes the load and are the pillars.
Mm.
So, having them engaged all throughout, looking at the real issues, what they are facing, getting them that kind of visibility and appreciation, I think we have seen brings in the success.
As an external consult, meaning you go in as somebody external, but how do you make them internalize it? Meaning this is something they have to carry out. When do you, for you, it must be very difficult that the thing is ending and you will be like, it is the meaning the project has come to an end. It is easy to say, but the change doesn't end right that way. So how do you balance those things?
That's a very important question because companies don't take change people, all throughout. There is some point you need to just hand over the baton to somebody else. And so the preparation for that starts from day one. The moment you start getting change agents identified, you set up a sustenance model for them, specifically that you identify as how you create the change governance in the organization well before it's time for you to leave. So you get them enabled, you create those kind of governance models for them, set their principles in order, etc. So that the moment the go live happens, you're there for just a couple of weeks. But that's really actually the beginning of change. The real happens as we go along. So you create that entire environment in the organization so that once you leave, things continue the way they were. And that's where the success of a good practitioner lies.
Absolutely. So I think my next question will be on the change and the change practitioner. So what would you consider as elements of successful change management? So when is like sometimes it's very easy to measure a project success, but sometimes it's very difficult to measure the change part of it, right? So when would you say that this change management made this whole thing happen? What would be the ingredients, or what would consist of those? What would be those elements?
So change management measurement is both tangible and intangible. It's about how do you take the people throughout the journey and manage their resistance. But the
Mhm,
real success happens when the adoption speed is fast forwarded. So
mhm.
adoption generally happens because if you stop the old systems, there's no way business has to run. So people would log on to the or adopt the new system. But how fast forward can you bring it defines the success of change management and the business as usual activities, how smoothen it is with less chaos happening.
Mhm. I think that's a very important measure, right? It should not be like that stop nobody wants, right? There that break nobody would like in that in their scheme of things. So it should, everything should continue smoothly. So I think it's a very important point which you brought around as to change management actually helps smoothen that, right?
Correct. And bring forward the adoption. Because the quicker people adopt to the system, the faster the business benefits would get realized.
So for a change manager, what would you say would be like an absolute must to have?
Good communication skills, very effective communication, your ability to manage stakeholders across all levels, your sentiment analysis to know when risk is coming, how do you identify the risk and resolve the risk before it becomes actually real. How do you enable people well before in time, bring in that environment of cohesiveness within the organization and the confidence among the people that, yes, they can do it and can make it happen? So, how is it their program and not yours? You're just an enabler.
I think, yeah, we are like, it is that behind the scene, which kind of most of it happens. But yes, you definitely the enablers to make things happen. And in terms of you're seeing the paradigm of the environment, you're seeing how the environment and technology is moving. So, what are your tips to somebody who would like to take up change management as a career?
First, be very empathetic and be an effective communicator. Your connect with the people is key. How do you're able to make that difference and people understand the importance of change and specifically what happens if they don't change. So some of these aspects, if they are within, and some of the things, as I said before, I think really decides if you are a good change person.
Okay. And anything on your advice on organizations or any leaders who are going through a change process. So, what would be your advice to them?
Planning is the key. Identifying risk is the key. Knowing who's who and what's changing at the persona level is the key. So your starting is important, that how do you bring in that confidence among people that you're there to enable them and make them successful is absolutely important. And Gen AI, how do we use Gen AI to really make our work more effective, more fast? I think that's the way to go.
Absolutely. And in terms of change management, as you said, like, earlier, a few years before, but I think the journey is yet going on of, as you said, that change management was a value add and then it has got integrated now. But to leaders who are still in doubt as to whether to get it or not get it, what would you tell those organizations or people as about change management of how to handle change management?
So specifically, we need to understand the time periods are very short, the budgets are very limited, and competition is huge. So you're in a run to achieve maximum within a short span. So you don't have a luxury to actually take a long time to actually get your people to use the new systems. You need to fast track and shorten the span of the execution what you do. And for that, change management is absolutely key.
Any last words to our audience in change management community?
uh, Change management is the only change which is sustained for a very long time, and it has a bright future. So keep on to it and learn new ways of managing change. See how Gen AI can absolutely bring in a differentiator in change management execution. So all the best to you.
Thank you, Gauri. I think this is one of our editions which will be least edited because I think it was fantastic having this conversation with you, and I think it's a very very good value add to the community who can gain so much from this conversation. Um, Rest of you, all I can say to my audience is join the Mark Change Leader community because you can hear stalwarts like Gauuri Kapoor talking to you about change, change management, and how you can, with the new tools available, improve the way we do change. Thank you so much.